into the Kohl Center in Madison, Wisconsin. It's the Wisconsin Badgers hosting the Yale Bulldogs. Non-conference matchup. Ethan Happ on the floor. Really the only battle-tested Badger on this roster for Greg Gard. And they're trying to get to 2-0 on this young season. First weekend of the college basketball year. Starting lineup for Yale, of course, Mie Oni. He's going to be the focal point as Ethan Happ wins the tip, along with Sean Morris. Jeff Levering with you. And for Wisconsin, again, the focal point on offense will be Ethan Happ.
And Andy Van Vliet gave Happ a lot of help in the opener versus South Carolina State. Van Vliet with 18 points, 4 of 5 from deep.
Van Vliet hit the deck initially, and immediately you see the double team on Ethan Happ. Brevin Pritzel with the basketball, and he is fouled. He'll go to the line and shoot a couple. Van Vliet with 18 points. Had a huge opener against South Carolina State. You mentioned the amount of minutes. It's not a ton of experience for Wisconsin.
And Pritzel a year ago really struggled shooting the three under 25%. However, in the opener versus the Bulldogs of South Carolina State, contributing 17 points, 3 of 6 from behind the arc. And defensively, you saw what we'd expect from Yale, Jeff, doubling down on Happ. That was kind of the recipe the Big Ten teams did in the latter part of the season a year ago, trying to get the ball out of his hands, make somebody else beat them.
A lot of talented young players on this Wisconsin roster. We'll see a couple of them here today, of course, Kobe King and Brad Davison. A couple of free throws by Brevin Pritzel gets the Badgers on the scoreboard first. Mention Yale again. They're down a couple of starters with Makai Mason unavailable. He's missed all of last season and the beginning part of this year, too, with foot problems. Trying to find some scoring from other pieces for this Ivy League squad. They go inside. And now a nice penetrating move, and going to the line will be Alex Copeland, the junior.
And a nice job by Copeland of understanding that Van Vliet was out of position. The shot fake, Van Vliet doesn't close out under control, and Copeland, who led this team along with Oni a year ago in scoring at 13 points per outing, able to turn the corner on the big man.
Had 10 points in their loss against Creighton, as you see James Jones in his 19th season in Connecticut. Copeland, a Southern California product from Harvard Westlake High School. Most wins in program history for James Jones.
And the third most in the history of the Ivy League. And you're behind only Pete Carrill and Fran Dumpy. That is heady company for the coach at Yale.
That is the Mount Rushmore. Pete Carrill, what he was able to do in his career in the Ivy League. James Jones right up there with him. Happ trying to get around his defender, Blake Reynolds, and a turnover. Here comes Copeland the other way. Trice unable to get to Copeland, but Yale takes the early lead.
And that turnover was made possible because of the play of the freshman Atkinson. He faked down at Happ, then got back into the passing angle. Nice job by the freshman Atkinson.
Atkinson really needing to step up big time in the absence as Pritzel fires from three, a little short. And Oni picks up the rebound. This Badgers team, again, you've got Happ down low, who's going to be able to bruise with anybody. Reynolds short, rebound controlled by Happ. But the key for Wisconsin, not only in this game tonight, but throughout the course of the season, they got to be able to shoot.
Especially from the perimeter. Nice job. There's the double again from Atkinson, kind of playing center field and trying to get the ball out of the hands of Happ. And it's paid dividends thus far here in the early going for Yale.
And Vliet off the mark on his first shot. Pritzel nearly had a tap in. Pritzel's going to be a big piece to this Wisconsin puzzle this year, too. An injury plagued the last couple of years, redshirted last season. Go down low, and a miss that time by Atkinson. Great defender in Happ.
But a nice job by Atkinson of utilizing a strong duck in, just not able to shoot over the length of Happ, who's among the leaders in the conference in block shots a year ago as well as steals.
Van Vliet fires from three, and he's got that one. Wisconsin back out in front.
Well, he's coming off a performance last time out where he was 4 of 5 from deep, and he shot that very confidently. Nice rotation by the left-hander.
7 of 11 from the floor for Van Vliet in his first extended minutes as Oni misses his first shot. Happ pulls down another rebound. Team leader, averaged nearly a double-double last year for the Badgers. New role for Khalil Iverson down low on the block, too. Goes to the right hand.
And he just elevated, and nice job of utilizing position by Iverson. Nice little duck in, and look at the duck in by Iverson right here. And then once you start going in, the defender was able to take off that arm bar and able to elevate over the top. And then Van Vliet doing a nice job of fanning out to the corner, making the defender have to make a decision, Jeff. If he is one step closer to the passer, one defender from Yale can play two. By taking that extra fan cut out toward the sideline, he created the passing game.
Van Vliet, such an offensive weapon. Off the floor now. First look at Aleem Ford. Redshirt freshman. Copeland matched up with Dimitri Trice in the early going. Turnover forced by Wisconsin's defense. Forced 14 turnovers against South Carolina State last time out on Friday. Dimitri Trice fouled as we see Greg Gard in his third season, second full season as the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. He's done nothing but win.
And this program has done nothing but win since essentially the late 90s. 17 straight top four finishes for the Badgers in the conference. Amazing. The only thing that would probably surpass that in college basketball that comes to mind would be Kansas's run in terms of winning titles in the Big 8 and now the Big 12.
Wisconsin, for the first time since 2010, not ranked in the preseason poll. Again, lost so much with graduations from Bronson Koenig, Zach Showalter, Nigel Hayes, Vito Brown, as Ethan Happ goes to work down low and gets one over Blake Reynolds. And that's 75% of your scoring if you're the Badgers.
And a nice job there by Happ of utilizing a little bit of a hesitation dribble because the double was forthcoming. The defender from Yale thought he was going to pick it up. That hesitation dribble got him to go the other way, allowing Happ to turn the corner and finish.
7-0 run by the Badgers at the moment. Reynolds a little bit out of control. Here comes a three from Noah Yates. The senior knocks it down. Again, not a lot of scoring coming back, with the exception of Happ. But some real good freshmen to watch here in Wisconsin. There's Iverson! Oh, boy! Khalil Iverson.
Good ball movement got Yale in a scramble mode defensively, Jeff. And then the pass fake by Iverson freezes the defender. The defender thought he was going to pass it to the left wing. The pass fake, turn the corner, and take that, Yale. Ivy League or not, that's going to leave a mark. Wisconsin up 5 at home.
5-point lead for Wisconsin, the Capitol Building in downtown Madison, along with Sean Morris, Jeff Levering with you from the Kohl Center, and some electricity in the building now after that thunder jam by Iverson.
And it was made possible by the presence of Ethan Happ. Yale making him the top of the scouting report, as you would imagine, running double teams at him. But it was the utilization of the pass fake by Iverson, which froze two Yale defenders, allowing him to turn the corner and finish with authority at the rim.
Great guard, really likes the ability of Iverson and what he's able to bring to this team. Now he's playing the 3 spot as opposed to the hybrid 1-2 that he played last year.
How about the defensive versatility by Happ? He's played in the post, and he's able to keep the perimeter players in front of him. Excellent footwork by the big fella.
Yates misses from 3 and a rebound from Brad Davison, young talented freshman out of Maple Grove, Minnesota. That's a name that folks here in Madison are going to get to know here pretty quick.
Remember that one. This kid loves to compete. You could tell that in shoot around. I mean, if they were keeping score on how many sips of Gatorade you took, he wanted to win.
A couple of great stories coming out of the Madison publications the last couple of days as Trice fires from 3 and knocks it down. But they've had some energy on this roster the last couple of years with Zach Showalter. Now he's graduated and gone. Davison has kind of taken that torch. Yale trying to work their offense. There's Oni from the corner. Knocks down his first 3 of the day.
He's at the top of the scouting report on the defensive end for Wisconsin, and only showing you a little bit of his versatility. Why, as a freshman a year ago, he was second team All-Ivy.
Got 9 points, was just 3 of 12. His half misfires out of bounds off of Yale. It's going to stick around with Wisconsin as we look at Dimitri Trice, his first 3 of the game.
That's why you keep your dribble alive. A little bit of the fan dribble. They came out with a strong hedge, did Yale. Trice did a good job of keeping the dribble alive, and shows you why he knocked down 42% of his offerings from deep a year ago.
Led the team last year as a true freshman, Dimitri Trice. Charlie Thomas on the floor for the first time, adding an extra big body. And Greg Gard hoping to get a little bit more out of Charlie Thomas in his junior season. Go down low, Davison. A couple of nice moves. Fouled on his way up. He'll go to the line and shoot a pair.
And you saw a little bit of a wrinkle. This is a team, even though they haven't run it with any consistency over the last couple of years, a little bit of wrinkle in what is known as the swing offense when you invert a little bit, meaning that the bigs will go out and the perimeter players will go inside. Davison shows you why it's important to be able to play with your back to the basket. They thought he was going to go out to the corner. He cut off his route a little short and able to duck in.
We talked about it a little bit before as Davison knocks down his first shot. Just the construction of this roster for Wisconsin. They lose 4 big seniors, Brown, Showalter, Koenig, and Hayes. And you've got 7 juniors on this roster, but not a ton of minutes played.
And what happens now is you're starting to see guys get their opportunity, but they were able to learn some lessons when the lights were not on. And what I mean by that is because of the presence of those upperclassmen, which have since moved on to graduation, they were able to get some experience without having to be in front of 10, 12, 15,000 people. So it's a lot easier to learn a lot of those lessons, especially for the big guys when the lights aren't as bright.
See a little bit different look from the guards this year. Of course, Bronson Koenig running the point for 4 years here. Yale goes inside and a foul, blocking foul. And Paul Atkinson will go to the line.
I've been impressed with Atkinson. Atkinson came in averaging a double-double as a high school senior a year ago, but Atkinson shot the ball well from deep versus great here. Nice little job of getting into the lane and drawing the contact. And Wisconsin, to your point, Jeff, just continues to excel and win at a high level and consistently every year. And a big reason for that, it sounds trite, but you have to know who you are. They recruit guys that want to fit their system, that understand what their role might be, and that their opportunity to play may not come right out of the gate.
Greg Gard, just such a perfect fit for this university, too. Assistant coach under Bull Ryan for so many years, and he is just a seamless transition for this program. And 4 straight Sweet 16s, and they were almost in the Elite 8. I mean, they're 0.2 of a second away from being in the Elite 8 last year.
And Yale right now trying to give a lot of new players on the floor offensively for Wisconsin, a lot of young players, so Yale giving them a different look defensively, showing the 2-3 zone in this possession.
Kobe King on the floor for the first time, another talented freshman. There's Davison from the top of the key, nothing but Twine. Davison in his first collegiate game had 5 points, took just 3 shots. Corner 3 this time. No answer by the sophomore Eric Monroe.
And you saw Oni drawing the double team and smartly using the skip pass over the top.
Pritzel with a good ball fake. Drops it down to Aleem Ford with the left hand. Seeing these young kids all on the floor at the same time, and they're being awfully productive as Yale's going to call a timeout. Very evenly distributed scoring. 7 different Badgers with points so far in this game as they're up 11 on Yale.
A nice recognition by Wisconsin that the zone defense was being employed, and Davison, watch what he did there, Jeff. He did his work while the pass was on his way. Did you see him get down low and ask for the ball? So when it got into a shooting pocket, he wasn't catching it in an upright position. He was able to go right into his shooting motion. Nice job by the freshman of doing his work while the pass was in the air.
Davison, again, such a standout athlete in Minneapolis. And what Wisconsin's trying to replace, they're returning just 38% of their points and 39% of their minutes played. Guys like Koenig, Hayes, Showalter, and Brown, they were just such integral pieces for this program.
You know, guys like Zach Showalter, didn't really play a whole lot the first couple of years because of experienced players in front of them, and now there's opportunities for players like Pritzel who might not have gotten the minutes that he thought he was going to get coming in as a freshman. Now the opportunity is there. What does he do with it?
Inside Atkinson, nice feed.
And how about Yale coming out of that dead ball situation, calling a set, and nice job of reversing the ball and forcing the defense of Wisconsin to defend all their real estate, not just half of it there.
One thing to remember about this Wisconsin team is Pritzel goes to work down low, had the position on the undersized Copeland. It doesn't have to all come from just a couple of guys. You don't have to match up, okay, well, he's going to take Canning's points and he's going to take Hayes' points. It can come from everybody. Nice move by Copeland inside. He got by 4.
And a nice job of spreading the floor by Yale there, allowing the dribble penetration. But to pay off your point, Jeff, you know, I think a lot of times in this world of sabermetrics, people kind of look at sports as a video game. It's not. You're not going to plug in a guy and replace him and say, well, this guy averaged 6, this guy's going to average 7. It doesn't work that way.
And you know, with Wisconsin, it's going to be fitting within the system, too. A lean forward, fade away, no. Rebound by Atkinson on the weak side. Numbers for Yale. There's Copeland. And a charge. Taken nicely by the freshman, Kobe King.
Yeah, and Yale, the last couple of possessions, it had paid dividends for them being aggressive offensively. Nice dribble drive and leave at the rim for the freshman Atkinson as they're trying to climb their way back in, spacing the floor, able to get to the rim. However, Wisconsin getting it done at home.
Congratulations to the Wisconsin Badgers Big Ten Men's Soccer Tournament champions, taking down Indiana earlier today in what looked like a beautiful day for soccer. Sean, how was their form on the pitch there?
Superb.
That's good answer.
Yes.
Sean Morris, big soccer fan.
Pele, back to you.
That's about all I got as well. Congrats to the Badgers men's soccer team, though. Took down Michigan in the semifinals, and then Indiana in the finals in the conference tournament.
Nice skip pass.
Pritzel, a little too strong on a good look. A rare miss from distance. They're now 3 of 6 from beyond the arc for Wisconsin.
And Yale, because they're depleted in terms of their roster, starting to stick with that zone defense to buy themselves some time on the defensive end, and that's offensive.
The offensive foul as Trice was trying to get around the corner of Reynolds, unable to do so.
It's a point of emphasis. It always has been, but really at the top of the chart now for officials. When the post player doesn't have his elbows bent down there trying to set up shop, if he extends his arm in any way, it's going to be an offensive foul, and that was a great example there.
6th team foul on Yale already. Bonus for Wisconsin, and still over half of the first half to play. Andy Van Vliet back on the floor, as well as Iverson. There's Van Vliet. Rimmed in and out. Iverson skies for the rebound, and a chance for 3.
And it's compounded by the fact that will now put Wisconsin in the bonus, and because this is a team for Yale that is down a couple of players, you can ill afford to have one of your starters draw a cheap foul as Atkinson does there, especially along the front line.
Atkinson with his 2nd personal, as Iverson does indeed make it a 3-point play. He did not take a shot and did not score a point in the opener against South Carolina State.
Free throw shooting was an area of concern for him a year ago, only 56%. That was an area of concern for Wisconsin as a whole. 64% from the line, next to last in the conference in that category a season ago.
The way that Wisconsin likes to play, especially going down low to Ethan Happ, got to be able to make more free throws. Atkinson down low, blocked away by Van Vliet. Second chance, and no, Happ pulls away another rebound. That's his 5th.
Really good job by Van Vliet of utilizing the principle of verticality there. Didn't go into the shot of Atkinson, and Atkinson will learn, Jeff, you need to put your body, your shoulder into the defender and not allow a guy like Van Vliet to utilize his length.
Go down low again to Iverson. He's got a little size advantage over Oni. Trice, good ball fake. And it rims in and out. Yale comes away with another loose ball.
Really good block out right there by Mia Oni.
Freshman Azar Swain on the floor for the first time. Another whistle.
Another offensive foul.
You know, Yale, we've been talking about their roster being depleted. They're still without Makai Mason. Davison, right foot stress fracture. And Jordan Bruner, who is a sophomore, they were expecting to get a lot, especially down low, second in the Ivy League last year in block shots. He's out with a knee injury.
Yeah, Bruner played almost all of last season, and talking to the Yale folks with a little bit of a knee injury, had off-season knee surgery, just hasn't responded well. And Makai Mason, asked the folks down in Waco if they remember Makai Mason a couple of seasons ago when Yale had their first win ever in the NCAA tournament. Mason dropped 31 on the Baylor Bears.
Missed off last year with that injury to his foot. And the officials taking a look at the elbow that just happened on the offensive foul, and really nothing more than incidental elbow to Trice.
It's down at the bottom. It's Sears. They're looking at it. That just there was some contact, but that's a basketball play. There wasn't anything targeted there. They have to take a look at that because of where the contact occurred. Obviously, the point of emphasis is any kind of contact in the head or neck region. And Sears right there, and that's exactly what they're talking about. Remember how I mentioned earlier, Jeff, you have to have your elbows bent in the post. Once Sears extended that arm in a straight out motion, it's an automatic offensive foul if there is contact.
Pritzel, wide open look. A little short. Iverson, another offensive rebound and putback.
Yeah, and if you're Yale, you force a shot, kind of a quick shot in the shot clock, and you're just not able to clean up the second chance opportunity. That's debilitating in a number of ways for Yale.
Another freshman on the floor for the Bulldogs for the first time as Oni rises up and misses. Pritzel with another rebound. Wisconsin doubling up Yale at the moment. Yale coming off of a loss against Creighton as Van Vliet short. And the rebound goes to Jamil Alausa. Bodies on the floor. Trice comes away with a loose ball.
Nice job by Trice of getting on the floor, but Oni was a little loose with the basketball, leading to that turnover.
Happ, good look inside. Van Vliet with a mishandle. Wide open Iverson. Short. Pritzel with an offensive rebound, and he's called for a foul. Going the other way for Yale. Wisconsin's getting the looks they want, no doubt about that. Well, starting tomorrow, it's Big Ten versus Big East in the Gavitt tip-off game. See all the action on FS1 and BTN. And, of course, streaming live on Fox Sports Go and BTN to go. One of the great things that the Big East and the Big Ten have put together over the last 3 years. Match up annually within the conferences. Xavier, Wisconsin, part of that. Gavitt games next week. Lausa locked in. And 3 seconds. I think they could have called that about 3 seconds prior.
And I tell you what, it was a small thing, but it was an important thing that led to that turnover. It was Davison coming down from the weak side and coming down with that dig, forcing Yale to kind of pick up their dribble before he wanted to. He had a pretty good position initially, but the savvy defensive play by Davison, it all goes for naught for Yale.
Another turnover for Yale. Nice look inside, and the putback good by Ford. And he's going to go to the line. Aleem Ford, native of Lawrence, Georgia, showing that serious athletic ability for the redshirt freshman.
And how about the unselfishness of Ethan Happ? He understands that he's going to see a lot of double teams. Here comes the double team. He keeps the ball high, utilizes his peripheral vision. And if you're playing with Ethan Happ, once that ball goes into the post, if you dive strong and hard, as they did there, you will be rewarded all day long.
He is such a good passer and was arguably the best player in the Big Ten Conference last year. Led the Badgers in every statistical category pretty much. Nice look inside. Alausa up and under through Aleem Ford.
Basket by Alausa.
Another double. Good look.
Perfect look. Kobe King from the corner, short, and an offensive rebound by Ethan Happ. Reset everything. Aleem Ford with a quick three. No, and Alausa with another board. Again, getting good looks, not capitalizing at the moment. Badgers all over Yale at the moment. Nice switching defensively, too. The flow of the defense for Wisconsin's been good in this first half. Underneath Reynolds, tough right hand over Kobe King.
Nice job by Reynolds of going into contact and then fading away to create some space to get that shot off. Nice offensive sequence there by the Yale Bulldogs.
Junior averaged nearly 10 points a game. There's half up and under, and a chance for a three-point play. Savvy.
And Jeff, not only savvy, but he shows you why you have two sets of hands for more than just a pair of gloves. If you can do things with either hand, as Hap can, they thought he was going to go right. He's able to go left and complete on the opposite side. Wisconsin up big.
Big lead for the Badgers on their home floor at the Kohl Center as they take on the Yale Bulldogs. And last 4 years, Sean, this is a program within the Ivy League that has been a force, to say the least. A couple of conference titles the last 4 years, and you mentioned that NCAA tournament berth and beating Baylor.
And last year, they made it to the title game of the inaugural Ivy League tournament in Pennsylvania, ultimately won by Princeton, who ran the table in the regular season conference for the Ivy League. But this is a team in Yale that I think, kind of like Wisconsin in the Big Ten, gets overlooked in the Ivy because they're not necessarily known, even though anyone that's paying attention understands what they've done recently. When people think of the Ivy League, they usually think of Princeton, more recently Harvard, and in certain situations Penn. But this is a team, especially over the last 5 or 6 years, has been outstanding. Will be again this year, although they're short a couple of players as we've talked about earlier.
They get Makai Mason back as Swain going underneath and unable to hit it. Foul before that. Take a look at what the preseason poll within the Ivy League looks like. And prognosticators think that Yale's going to finish second behind Harvard. They're right there in the mix.
And Princeton, we talked about them. They were undefeated in conference play a year ago. A lot of players moving on. Harvard kind of down with some injuries a year ago, but former Big Ten coach Tommy Amaker will have the Crimson right back in the mix. They also play Minnesota later on in the non-conference season, which should be a very interesting matchup.
A lot of teams, especially on the East Coast, a little bit leery of scheduling a program like Yale, as Azar Swain was fouled on his way to the basket.
Yeah, especially in their home state of Connecticut. I mean, nobody in Connecticut would play them. Not UConn, not Sacred Heart, not Hartford, which is kind of a backhanded compliment to Yale that no one wants to play them, because people in the basketball world understand how well coached and how well executed the game plan is for Yale.
Swain knocks down the first. And Yale, I mean, they play a really tough schedule. Again, they went to Omaha, lost to Creighton, Albany, Vermont. These are all quality programs.
Well, you look at TCU and Georgia Tech. Those two teams played for the NIT championship a year ago. In Vermont, you know, that's a very, very good team out of the American East.
Lehigh has always been a good program. And all those teams within their own leagues will compete for their conference championships. So Yale is certainly going to cut their teeth in the non-conference schedule before they play against the Ivy League. Wisconsin up by 13 on their home floor. Davison going around the corner. Good ball movement. Pritzel, nice move with the left hand. He finishes.
Two excellent moves. The pass fake froze the defender, and then the ability to utilize the left hand off the dribble allowed him to turn the corner. And this is the third offensive foul in the last 8 or 9 sequences for Yale. A couple of times on post play, there with a push off, but you saw the hesitation dribble. And again, it's a small thing, Jeff, but because you are a versatile threat and you can put the ball on the floor with either hand, it makes you so much more difficult to guard. We saw it what happened the post there with Pritzel on the perimeter.
Thought that Pritzel's key contribution was going to be from distance. He's 0 for 3 from beyond the arc. Made his couple of drives. He's got 6 points. Making his presence felt in a travel as Iverson lost his footing, and a rare turnover, just the second turnover for Wisconsin in the game.
Let's see now if Yale makes a concerted effort to get it to their best player, Oni, and allow him to do something off the dribble, because he has drawn so much attention defensively when the ball's been out of his hand. Let's see if they try to get it to number 24.
Only taken 3 shots in the first period. Good look that time. Distance from Yates, too strong. And Thomas corrals the rebound. Oni has just been on lockdown by the Wisconsin defense. 3 ball now by Ford and an air ball.
I don't think he caught that cleanly. When you watch the rotation, as that shot came off, it had a little bit of a knuckleball action. So he shot that one. When you have something like that happen, Jeff, it comes off the heel of your hand rather than your fingertips. I don't think he was able to catch it and getting into the shooting pocket effectively enough.
That's what I've been doing for the last 34 years of my life.
Well, when you find out what you're good at, just stick with it.
Rebounding and tossing to Sean Morris.
There's hope for you.
Shot by Oni, no good, and now here comes Pritzl in Wisconsin again. Oni maybe a little bit of a force on that last possession, trying to get himself going and into this contest. He's stuck on 3 points. Iverson driving, kicking, Thomas. Didn't rise up enough, now fouled, he'll go to the line. Had a chance to throw it down, but didn't have enough juice in the shoes.
I know that feeling.
I'm not going there, Sean.
Yeah. Life has a way of kicking you right in the seat. But Thomas didn't catch that dribble drive cleanly.
Couple of shots for Thomas. It's the first. Later tonight, when the action ends, the Big Show takes over. Highlights from around the conference, post-game reactions, straight from the arena, and in-depth expert analysis. Big Show tonight, 10 Eastern, right here on BTN. Eileen Ford off the floor. Van Vliet back in for Wisconsin. Very well distributed scoring for Wisconsin. Iverson leading the way with 9. Thomas in the score column. 8 of the 9 players that have seen action so far have scored.
And a nice job by Thomas of converting his foul shots, albeit with a small sample size a year ago. He was 90% from the line, and we talked about it earlier. That was an area of concern for Wisconsin a season ago.
3 by Copeland. Short. Pritzl, another rebound. Going the other way. Iverson lays it up and in. Pritzl and Iverson, a nice combination.
And a nice pass. The bounce pass led the recipient right to the rim. He didn't have to break stride to catch it complete.
Davison doing a nice job on Copeland. And Pritzl has been on lockdown on Oni. Now Van Vliet with 10 on the shot clock. Tipped away by Iverson. Numbers for the Badgers. Van Vliet back to Iverson. Up and under for 2. Timeout, Yale. 13 points by Iverson.
Unselfish play all the way around here in the first half. Transition, nice job of fanning out, spreading the floor. The bounce pass leads right to the rim and the completion, and then active hands, good pass by Van Vliet in Wisconsin, getting it done.
It's been Khalil Iverson. He's got 13 points to lead the way for the Badgers so far today. And Sean, a guy who didn't score 1 single point on Friday.
Well, he's been able to utilize his athleticism, be it on the offensive rebounding end of the floor or utilizing the pass fake and getting to the rim. And points in the paint really hurt Yale against Creighton in their season opener in Omaha. They gave up 58 points in the paint to the Blue Jays. Thus far, already 24 points in the paint for Wisconsin here this afternoon. And turnovers also hindering Yale's efforts. They have 12. They've given up 12 points off turnovers to the Wisconsin Badgers thus far.
Wyatt, yes, the freshman out of Parkway West High School in St. Louis with his first points. Hat back on the floor. Just over 3 minutes to play in the first half at the Kohl Center. Iverson going down low, tough matchup for Oni. And now Happ on the freshman, yes, backing him down. Left hand, good defense by Wyatt. Maybe a little mishandle by Happ on the way up, but yes, holding his own. Copeland hangs. Yes, and the tip, no. Ethan Happ with another rebound. And numbers for the Badgers. Van Vliet, good ball fake. Closing in on
the mismatch, good recognition.
Happ tried to go baseline this time, lowered the shoulder, and good defense defense by the senior Noah Yates.
Well, Noah Yates was on an island, and Happ was calling for the basketball. Good job by the freshman of coming over and helping out Yates, because if he doesn't come, that's going to allow Happ to come in with a strong right hand. But because the freshman came down, Yates knew as the senior defender that there was only one way that Happ could go, and he anticipated correctly.
Happ's got 4 points, 7 rebounds in his 12 minutes so far. Don't forget, State Farm halftime report is coming up shortly. Dave Revson, John Crispin standing, lounging by back in Chicago. Big important 2 minutes to close out this half for Greg Gard. Nearly a turnover forced by Iverson. Going to stay with Yale.
And it's really important with Oni on the bench right now. You know, they're leading score a year ago along with Copeland. Copeland also, they both averaged 13 points per ball game. Copeland, we talked about Oni and the fact that he hasn't been able to get on track. Neither has Alex Copeland.
Copeland has a speed advantage over Van Vliet. Tough shot. And Fritzl with another board. He's been forced into really difficult shots, as has Oni. That's pretty much where the scoring comes from for Yale now without Mason. Fritzl slipped. Happ underneath. Good look. Blocked away. No foul. They'll get Trey Fills on the personal foul on Van Vliet. Great look for Ethan Happ.
Excellent job by Happ of, again, utilizing his peripheral vision. It's kind of like a blitz in football. When you see the blitz coming from one side, you know you're going to have an open receiver. And if you're Van Vliet, even though he's going to go to the foul line and shoot a couple, you have to be able to finish through contact, especially as conference play approaches.
So Van Vliet going to the line, shooting a couple. He's got 3 points today. Rims in and out. Only coming back onto the floor for Yale as a true freshman last year. 28 out of 29 games he started. Excellent within league play, of course. And he thought that he was going to be matched up with Makai Mason. That was going to be a two-headed monster within the Ivy League.
And he was second team All-Ivy a year ago. And even without Makai Mason last season, the Yale Bulldogs got everyone's attention right off the bat in the opening weekend of the season a year ago. They go out to the West Coast and beat Washington and ended up having the #1 overall pick in the NBA draft, and they beat them handily in Seattle.
Wyatt Yes had a clear run to the rim. Didn't have enough on the hoop their time. And Wisconsin, minute 20 to go in this first half, trying to take advantage on a missed opportunity by Yale.
Apparently it was no for Yes.
Happ underneath, a miss. And now Yale coming back the other way. I saw what you did there, Sean.
Yeah.
There's Yes from distance.
He's not shy.
He's getting an opportunity. Had no points in just 2 minutes against Creighton. With Reynolds in foul trouble with 3 fouls on the bench for Yale. Yes is going to be in there for a while. Trice driving, gives to Van Vliet, and foul on the back end. They'll get Oni. Again, Van Vliet's going to have to finish this.
Yeah, going to have to finish that, because even though he's going to the line on a couple of attempts at the rim, once conference play approaches, you're going to have big, strong guys, and they're not just going to whack down. They're going to just take it right out of his hands. So he's got to put his shoulder to the rim and not shy away, but rather be willing to absorb contact.
Van Vliet knocks down the first, and 43 seconds away from our State Farm halftime report. Analysts, predictions, and much more. Dave and John in our Chicago studios. We talk a little bit more in the second half, Sean, but certainly the Big Ten is better than it was a year ago, and a lot more big bodies down in the front court.
Anyone that had the opportunity to see Michigan State in the lid lifter on Friday, they can throw a lot of bodies along that front line at their opposition.
Oni underneath had it knocked away by Van Vliet. Yale's going to hang on to the basketball with 17 to shoot. And that is, you just start running down the names and you get about 6 or 7 down before you got guys that are under 6'10". Miles Bridges and Nick Ward, just to name a couple.
Get Gavin Schilling back from an injury, and the transfer, Ben Carter, saw some action from UNLV. He was also out a year ago with injury. And, Kenny Goins, you can also throw in the mix there. So they can throw a lot of big bodies along the front line. The Spartans a season ago, Jeff, were +3 in rebounding margin a year ago. I expect them to be in double digits average in rebounding margin by the time the season is over because of their size.
Trying to beat the horn, he would, and it was too strong from Noah Yates. So that will end the first half as Wisconsin up 21 on Yale at home, trying to get to 2-0. 20 more minutes here at the Kohl Center. After the break, we'll send it back to Dave Revson, John Crispin. They're coming up in just a couple of minutes, but man, Iverson with a great first half.
And he was able to get to the rim, either via offensive rebounding or the utilization of shot fakes. Van Vliet picking up where he left off. So offensively, a lot of answers for Wisconsin in the first 20 minutes.
Dave and John in the State Farm halftime report coming up in a matter of moments from Chicago after this. Nearly wintertime in Madison, Wisconsin, as the Badgers are up big on the Yale Bulldogs, up by 21, about ready to begin the second half from the Kohl Center. Alongside with Sean Morris, Jeff Levering with you. Khalil Iverson was terrific in the first half with 13 points, only 3 away from his career high.
Iverson very effective getting to the rim, either with an offensive rebound or in the open floor, and utilizing his size and obviously athleticism on his way to an outstanding first half, but so much runs through Ethan Happ because of his unselfishness. He draws the double team. This does not lead to a basket, but a couple of free throws. And then once the double team comes down, if you play for Wisconsin, turn to the rim and get there, and he will find you. That's our State Farm assist of the game.
Khalil Iverson and Ethan Happ. Happ, points-wise, only 4 points, but grabbed 8 rebounds. No shock there. Happ crashing the glass per usual. Average nearly a double-double. Here comes Trice with a steal. Good stop, and he makes the basket as he lets Copeland blow right by. Got to put on the brakes, let him fly right by. Good start defensively for Wisconsin, and the intensity, you'd expect that to stay for the final 20 minutes of this ball game too, despite the score. There's Happ again with another steal. Happ spinning, left hand foul, and a chance to go to the line.
Ethan Happ draws so much attention on the offensive end, but the half starts with outstanding defensive anticipation by Demetric Trice for the opening basket here of the second half, and then Happ follows it up in the ensuing possession for an opportunity for a couple of free throws.
Nearly the same spot on the floor too. Almost like they went to the video department and said, okay, how can we improve on defense? Well, try and take away that kick-out pass back to the top of the key. They've done it twice in 2 possessions. Happ 1 out of 2 from the free throw line. That's what he was last year, 50%. Area that he's trying to improve upon. It's odd because he was a 64% free throw shooter as a freshman. Good look from Oni. Copeland. Back to Oni from the corner. And off the side of the backboard, rebound up and good. And on the score column is Trey Phills.
Not the prettiest thing, but when you're dying of thirst, even a lukewarm drink of water tastes good if you're Yale right now.
Held to just 22 points in the first half. 8 of 24 shooting, turned the ball over 8 times. Happ doubled, looking for an open man. Someone's out there. Van Vliet, good ball fake. 6 to shoot. Happ underneath, right hand, chance to finish it off with a 3-point play.
Good recognition by Wisconsin, Jeff, that Yale, trying to stem the tide, had gone into a zone defense. They reversed the ball, forcing the zone to shift. And then what you're going to see is Happ sneak behind the last line of defense there in Oni. And if you're dribbling with your head down, you don't see Happ. But the fundamentals, again, paying dividends for Wisconsin on that little dribble drive, allows that pass along the baseline for a chance at an N1 from Happ.
Second personal from Oni is Happ short on the free throw. And Yale trying to push the tempo just a bit. There's Phills. And he couldn't get the roll that time. Van Vliet with the rebound. Yale, not a great three-point shooting team, 35% a year ago. They like to run their offense just like Wisconsin does. Half of the mismatch on Reynolds. Too strong. Van Vliet over the top of Atkinson for the offensive foul. Ethan Happ, again, we've been talking about how important he is to this Wisconsin team. Really the only battle-tested player returning for Greg Gard.
And the stats don't really tell the entire story. 14 points, 9 rebounds a season ago. He's third in the conference in field goal percentage at 59%. A couple steals a ball game, and very unselfish as well, as he's shown here tonight.
Atkinson with his own rebound, reset the shot clock for Yale. There's Oni from 3. In and out again, and Oni just not able to find the bottom of the bucket. A Happ leading statistical guy in 6 different categories. He's got the short little baby hook with the left hand. And that's with guys like Koenig and Hayes and so much talent around you.
And understands he's going to have to take on a more assertive role than he might have had to play in the past. But there's a difference between being assertive and being selfish, and he walks that line extremely well.
Blake Reynolds knocks down a 3-pointer. Reynolds with 5 points. He was in foul trouble early in the first half. Playing just 11 minutes. Underneath, there goes Iverson. That guy is so athletic.
And how about the confidence with which he's playing right now? The strong duck in, got in between the 2 lines of the zone defense being employed by Yale, and then the good footwork, the up and under move, and the step through by Iverson.
15 points now for Iverson, 1 away from his career high. Atkinson, tough inside, altered by Happ. Happ with his 9th rebound. Behind the back, look at those moves by the big fella. Couldn't finish it off. He'll shoot a pair, though. Coast to coast for Happ.
The Yale fouls on number 20, Atkinson is 4th.
Ethan Happ showing you his ability to handle the ball in the open floor. A few possessions ago, nice job of understanding, running to the rim, creating space, and finishing with the left hand. And then Khalil Iverson, watch this, up, under, step through, and complete. And Iverson, as he ran down the court, you could see in his body language his confidence starting to rise.
And they're going to need Iverson, not only to play great defense and rebound, undersized, you might say, for a 3, potentially 4, which he plays at times for this roster. But he can score the basketball, too. Something he hasn't been relied upon to do the last few years. For Ethan Happ, we'll get a break, and Charlie Thomas will enter. You're starting to see, like you mentioned, the confidence for Iverson. That's so big for him. Another turnover by Yale. Bodies on the ground. King trying to get it. Yale somehow got it back. No reset on the shot clock. Now finally they reset it. Copeland going underneath. A little bit of speed advantage that time as fills it up.
Really nice job by Copeland of understanding he had the quickness mismatch with Van Vliet. He tried to turn the corner, and then the hesitation dribble got Van Vliet out of his stance. He was able to, knew he couldn't score at the rim, but was looking weak side and allowed Phils to step right into that jump shot. Nice job by Copeland to make that possible.
Phils was scoreless in the first half. He's got 5 second half points. Down low, Kobe King. And a foul on Oni. That's his 3rd. But Wisconsin all in front of Yale. They're up by 24 from the Kohl Center.
The Yale fouls on number 24, Oni.
Back in Madison, it was a big day yesterday at Camp Randall, not too far from where we are right now at the Kohl Center. The football Badgers, number 5 at the moment, 10-0, 7-0 in the Big Ten. They've won their division. They're going to be playing for the conference championship in Indianapolis. They got Michigan coming up this weekend.
And how about the job that the Badgers did defensively yesterday? After what Iowa did to Ohio State the previous week, they hold the Hawkeyes to 66 total yards. And this is a Wisconsin football team, Jeff, that's battled injuries in their own right. Down a couple of linebackers, and they just most recently lost their leading receiver.
Van Vliet short on his first 3-point attempt of the half as Pritzel is charged with a foul. And the football team, that defense, you mentioned it, they can go up against anybody, too.
And their offensive line, man, I love watching them because you got guys that can bench press a hog, and they're out there like road graders just absolutely destroying people. And they make no bones about what they're going to do. We're going to hand it off to a great back, and we're going to try to cram it right down your pie hole. And if you can stop it, good luck.
Taylor has had such a great season, too. Be a good one. Michigan Wolverines coming into Camp Randall over the weekend. Wisconsin still undefeated on the football side. Inside, Reynolds. Nice look to Noah Yates.
Good job by Reynolds of understanding that he was spinning into traffic and into contact and kept his head up for the nice lead. Good job by Reynolds.
Reynolds is a junior for this Yale squad. Starter a year ago. Fourth leading scorer underneath King. Too short.
Shot clock does not reset since it didn't hit the rim. Let's see if Trice understands that. That shouldn't have reset.
Well, the officials now noticing that the shot clock did reset. Good call, Sean. It didn't get any iron. They're going to have to take some seconds off of this shot clock. It was at about 10.
Yeah, this will be single digits by the time it's all said and done.
Substitution here.
Oh, they're not resetting it.
Not resetting the shot clock, which is a little odd.
Yeah.
And that one did not draw any iron.
No.
And James Jones noticing the same exact thing. Yale head coach. So fresh set. 27 seconds on that shot clock.
They must have seen something I didn't, because I did not think that hit the rim, and the Carmen train made a stop.
Yeah, Yale catches a break. Trice threw it away, trying to get to Pritzel, who was looking to cut towards the hoop. You're all over there. You're in midseason form. This is first weekend of the year.
Yeah. Well, I should go out on top. It's not going to get any better. Nice.
Nice look inside is Reynolds. And they just flip-flop it from the previous possession. Last time, Reynolds to Yates. This time, Yates to Reynolds.
Really nice set by Yale, and a good job by Reynolds of riding the defender up the lane, which created that lob pass opportunity.
Kobe King drives the baseline for a couple. King in the score column. Everybody in the score column now, all 9 that have seen the floor for Greg Gard have scored. Yates, nice with the left hand, pass to leading forward.
And again, that was made possible because of the excellent spacing by Yale. They were able to utilize their whole half court offensively and spread out the Badgers on the defensive end.
And Yale's not going to go anywhere. They're still going to work. And foul. They'll get Copeland, I believe, on the personal. Tomorrow, more men's hoops comes your way as the Wolverines hit the floor to take on Central Michigan. All tips off tomorrow at 7 Eastern right here on BTN, and streaming live on BTN To Go and Fox Sports Go, and some players to watch. Certainly Mo Wagner coming back. He was a huge force for the Wolverines. Some more big men within the Big Ten.
And Wagner with 18 points in the season opening win over North Florida, but more importantly from Michigan's standpoint, 12 rebounds. And you saw Nick Ward there, state rival Michigan State Spartans, and you want to talk about hacking elections. How was he not elected to the all-freshman team a year ago? That one still puzzles me.
No doubt about that. Foul underneath. They'll pick up Reynolds. That'll be his 4th on Ethan Happ. And the last guy you saw, Isaac Haas, he is still in the league. I feel like he's been around a long time, but he's poised to have a good year, and he's got another bruiser down low with him with Moss.
But and surrounded by a lot of shooters. You obviously have a big loss with Caleb Swanigan, the National Player of the Year in many people's eyes, and as well as the Conference Player of the Year. But you have a lot of outstanding shooters with which you can surround Haas.
A little bit out of control, and Yale with another turnover. Wisconsin going the other way. That Purdue team is deep, and they are tested.
When you have Dakota Mathias, Ryan Klein, Carson Edwards, Vincent Edwards, you've got a lot of guys that can put the ball in the basket from behind the arc, and a really underrated point guard in P.J. Thompson. Kind of unlike Wisconsin, a lot of experience and battle-tested experience for Purdue.
Just keep reloading for Matt Painter down in West Lafayette. Badgers up by 22 still. Aaron Mayshaw on the floor for the first time for the Badgers, as well as the freshman Brad Davison. Going to work, left hand blocked away. And Yale with numbers coming back. Phil's going to the rack, gives it up, and the bucket good by Blake Reynolds.
But Reynolds has given them a nice lift here in about the last 3 minutes. First with an assist, then a nice job of riding his defender up the lane. And there, it shows you why, regardless of your size, you need to run the floor because the potential to be rewarded is there.
Crowd sensing a little bit of momentum shifting towards Yale. It's still a 20-point lead for Wisconsin. Don't tell the Bulldogs that. Maish with a good ball fake. 8 to shoot for the Badgers. Kobe King, 3 to shoot. There's a 3, short. Rebound corralled by Happ. He just flat out took it away from Phils, and a blocking foul on Trey Phils.
And a really tough sequence by Phils because he did a pretty good job of blocking out. Just wasn't able to corral it. But on the positive note, for Yale, Blake Reynolds has done a nice job here in the opening minutes of the second half for Yale. You run the floor, you are rewarded. Good job by Phils of finding him, and that kind of capped off a sequence where he had a nice assist in close quarters as well as an excellent post up. But Phils, a tough break there because he was in front of Happ, but there was no over the back because Happ had such an outstanding size advantage. He was able to reach over the top without making contact with Phils.
Happ knocks down the first free throw as Yale continues to be in foul trouble. Atkinson with 4, Phils now with 4, Oni and Reynolds with 3 apiece. Reynolds has been clean in the second half. Happ with another double-double, 21st of his career.
Yeah, and if you're Yale, you already came in 2 players down, and not just 2 average players, 2 guys you were counting on being starters. So, you know, your bench goes from thin to anorexic real quick with that kind of foul trouble.
Really nice move by Reynolds inside. He's been such a big difference. And Reynolds and Atkinson, those are your 2 guys with size that you have to be contending with Ethan Happ. Look down low again, Eric Monroe with a great pass.
Nice job of coming under control, and Reynolds, that's a difficult shot because he's got a shot blocker rotating over in Happ, and he understood that and was able to put a little bit of reverse English on it. But I've been really impressed, even with the fact that they've been battling some foul trouble and they're short a couple of players. Yale, when they haven't turned the ball over, have been really crisp in a lot of their half-court sets.
Made their last 6 shots in this second half. Now blocked away, another turnover, and Yale starting to chip away. 3-point attempt that got in and out of the hands of Swain.
I think that one just slipped out of his hands.
He had a pretty good look there, too. Swain will take that one short, and Ethan Happ with his 11th rebound. Aaron Maish going to work on Reynolds. Maish with the left hand, short, and Reynolds with a rebound. To see a guy like Aaron Maish, the only senior on this roster, get some time. Foul as Oni will go to the line. Wisconsin is up 19, but Yale trying to mount a comeback on the road. Badgers up 19 from the Kohl Center against the Yale Bulldogs, and only the journey takes you behind the scenes for all-access look at the Big Ten football season. Don't miss a brand new episode Tuesday at 9 Eastern on BTN. Badgers undefeated. Big win against Iowa last weekend to clinch the Big Ten West Conference. 2 games clear of Northwestern and a few up on number 20 Iowa. Such a great year for the Wisconsin Badgers. Talk a little pigskin, Sean.
Well, they still have an opportunity to crack that top 4. You know, they have a couple of tough games to finish out the regular season. They play Michigan at Camp Randall next Saturday, then close it up battling for Paul Bunyan's trophy against Minnesota. And then, you know, they're going to play somebody obviously very powerful from the East. And, you know, you were a fluke play away from the top 3 teams. Alabama was able to escape against Mississippi State yesterday, but Notre Dame got throttled, and Georgia also went down. I need to get a hobby. I got to watch that.
Mr. Big Ten, Sean Morris. In Wisconsin, if they remain undefeated, they've still got some tests to go as Ethan Happ, no good on his turnaround. if they don't end up in the top 4 in the playoff standings, major football conference, a lot of people talking about the schedule being light, of course, but nonetheless, if you go undefeated in the Big Ten Conference and don't end up in that top 4, that would be shocking.
Well, and, you know, it's not necessarily, they played BYU, and a year ago, BYU was very good. Now, they got decimated with injuries. They can't help that. You know, they went out and went on the road and beat a very traditional power in BYU, and then you can only play who's on your schedule. And I think they've done a really good job, and there's still a lot of work, you know, for Wisconsin to do. But I think the thing that has impressed me the most is that they don't change how they go about their business, whether they're up 7 or down 7. And they have an opportunity, if they take care of business in their last 2 regular season games, they're going to face a very, very quality opponent out of the East. And then, you know, whatever happens after that is out of their control.
It'll be a fun one at Camp Randall this weekend. Van Vliet underneath. Good feed from Iverson, but a foul before all of that. Michigan, Wisconsin this weekend in the early game, too. Rise and shine, get some football, get some hoops all over the weekend. Gavitt games between the Big East and the Big Ten all next week. Wisconsin will have a tough matchup with Xavier within the Big East. I mean, they got a couple of young freshmen on that roster.
Trayvon Blewett as well.
Feels like Blewett's been around for a long time, too. Don't forget Saturday, the pregame show for Big Ten fans comes to you from Penn State as Dave, Spice, Stanley, Jerry, and Michelle get you ready for an exciting day of football. BTN Tailgate presented by Geico, Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern right here on BTN. Football, basketball, whatever you want. This is a college sports dream time right now, November and December. Poked away by Davison. And now the Badgers will reset.
Davison really bailed out his teammate Van Vliet right there because he was beaten off the dribble.
Davison doing the gritty stuff today. Trice, nice floater inside.
And a really textbook utilization of the jump stop there by Trice. Came under control and able to elevate, taking away the opportunity to draw a charge.
High arcing 3 over the top of Iverson. No good. Here comes Trice going the other way. He's stuck on 7 points. Davison trying to get himself involved in this offense. He's got 5. There goes Iverson. Up and under. He's got a new career high.
So if he gets going downhill with that right hand, you are in trouble. So whether it's Yale here in the rest of the ball game or future opponents, you want to try to jump that right hand and force him to go to his off or left hand.
Davison coming in from the backside, poking the ball away from Reynolds. And don't get on the tracks when the train's coming through with Iverson. Van Vliet wide open. Happ trying to keep it alive, but 3 Bulldogs in there.
And Happ already, even though he wasn't able to corral that rebound, his second double-double thus far in 2 games in the young season for the Badgers.
12 points, 11 rebounds so far tonight for Wisconsin for Ethan Happ, the junior. There's Oni and a hand from Iverson knocking it away. Oni wanted a foul. Just about 9 minutes to play in this one. Van Vliet with the left hand. Chance for a 3-point play. Andy Van Vliet able to finish at the rim.
Demetrius Trice, known as the 3-point shooter, but here he shows you the value of being able to close and stop under control, the good utilization of the jump stop. And then Khalil Iverson, you mentioned it, Jeff, that is a runaway train if you allow him to get to his right hand. And as we've seen all afternoon, the ability to go inside and utilize the size advantage has paid dividends for the Badgers, most recently by Van Vliet.
Happ and Iverson head to the bench for Wisconsin. Mentioned a new career high for Iverson, 17 points, was scoreless in the opener on Friday against South Carolina State. Van Vliet trying to get into double figures for a 2nd consecutive game and does so. He's got 10. There's Iverson at 16. That was his previous career high against Marquette last year. Just so efficient and able to finish. 8 of 9 from the floor for Iverson. Oni going underneath with the left hand. Good look.
First time he's really had the ability to show his athleticism you know, he hasn't been able to get on track tonight or versus Creighton because he's certainly drawn all the defensive attention, but that's a player to keep your eye on once Ivy League season rolls around. He's very talented.
Only with 7 points, just 2 of 8 from the floor. Wide open look, Copeland. Too strong, and the rebound out to Kobe King.
And you can live with that shot if you're Yale because Wisconsin hadn't been able to get set defensively. You draw the defensive end with the dribble drive by Oni. Copeland just not able to knock it down.
Wisconsin working the offense right now. Trice with 7 to shoot and 8 minutes to play. 3 to shoot. Van Vliet got to go. Got it from the top of the key.
And I think even more impressively, it barely disturbed his coif.
Been talking about that. The hairdo from Van Vliet since the opening tip, or at least off the air. But nonetheless, Van Vliet, it hasn't moved. Van Vliet having a good second half. He's got 13 points.
And most importantly, if you're Wisconsin, he has a nice three-point stroke. He showed you in his first game. Here he bails them out with the shot clock winding down at home.
Taylor tied up. He finds Gasser for the win. Oh my goodness! Wisconsin survives.
Great moments within the Big Ten. You know those are going to be coming come conference play time, and a little different in the schedule this year, Sean, where Big Ten conference play begins at the beginning of December. Take a little bit of a break for the holidays and then get right back into it at the new year.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting because the conference tournament is a year earlier. It's in Madison Square Garden. But to your point about conference play, everybody will play 2 games in 3 days, 1 home and 1 away to open the conference slate that first weekend in December. Should be very exciting.
Poked away, Charlie Thomas on the backside, called for the foul on Atkinson. Getting that real taste of what conference play is all about. And there'll be some big games, of course. Every conference game is a big game. But then you kind of learn from what you did in your first 2 conference games. You're not right back to back into it.
And you also will find out earlier than maybe in the past what you truly have from some of your younger players, because depending on your foul situation, matchups and things, younger guys are going to get more minutes in highly intense ball games than they might have had in the past. But that's where something like the Gavitt games really comes in and pays dividends, as well as the Big Ten ACC Challenge, because these guys are going to be in high-profile situations. And those games, look, whether it's after the first of the year or whether it's in December, those conference games count. So it's better to have that experience moving forward with some of those high-profile non-conference slates. It's even more important this year.
Big East is loaded up again. They're probably better than they were a year ago, too. Villanova's going to be good. Oh, and when you look at these conferences, whether it's the Big Ten, right, Seton Hall, too. And they've got guys like Angel Delgado, whose averages 15 rebounds a game. And when you talk about these conferences that are starting to get better and better, it's because the teams that have been in the bottom traditionally are getting better. And you're seeing that countrywide. A couple of free throws by Phils. Illinois putting up 100 points in their first game a couple of days ago.
Yeah, just a different style of play there. You're looking to shoot very early in the shot clock, and the offensive efficiency has always been there when Brad Underwood has been the coach, whether it was at Stephen F. Austin or most recently at Oklahoma State a season ago.
Davison steps back for 3, knocked it down. Here's Shooter.
You can tell by watching this young guy play, he could run for mayor of Madison, but every other Big Ten school is going to hate his guts.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. I mean, that's the thing that Showalter did, too. You see Brad Davison again. I mean, he's the guy you love if he's on your team.
Davidson, a good job. That's a tough shot because he's a right-handed shooter, Jeff, and he has to step into that rhythm dribble with the left hand. That is a far more difficult shot than it might first appear for a right-handed shooter.
Davison, a good article written about him in the local paper a couple of days ago. Grew up with 2 older sisters, both played basketball. Foul underneath, they'll get Davison that time. His sisters played basketball at Northern Iowa. One of his sisters married an offensive lineman who plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you want to talk about growing up fast.
Well, yeah, well, you don't want to, that's one, you want to stay on his good side if he's an offensive lineman.
In Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you don't want to mess around with that.
Atkinson knocks down his first free throw. Wisconsin starting to pull away a little bit. Yale made a run, cut it to within 19 at one point in his second half. And Wisconsin has been efficient from the floor, shooting 50% tonight.
And that's not usually reflective of a Yale team. This is a squad in Yale, Jeff, that has held opponents under 70 points per ball game for the last 12 years. And so when you lose guys, a couple of potential starters or would-be starters, Makai Mason and Jordan Bruner, and you have to have a lot of younger guys come in, yes, it's going to impact your offensive flow, but more importantly, on the defensive end, it takes younger guys to pick up that part of the ball game than it does the offensive end.
Fourth personal on Brad Davison. He's going to head to the bench as Pritzel and Iverson check in. Davison. And this Yale team gave up 92 points to Creighton. Creighton is a good basketball team. But when you mentioned the points in the paint, too, gave up 58 points in the paint. And Creighton shot 60%.
And turnovers and fast break points hurt them in that opener at Omaha. It also has hindered their effort here this afternoon.
14 turnovers for Yale tonight. Only 6 for the Badgers. Tough look inside by Copeland. Illikainen kept it alive, and Van Vliet going the other way. Behind the back pass to Trice. And Van Vliet got his defender in the air, couldn't finish it off. Tipped back and down, going the other way for Swain. 3-on-2. Swain is going to go to the line.
And a nice job by Swain on that transition of attacking the inside foot of the back defender, in this case Trice. And Trice was inside that restricted area as well, Jeff. The only chance he had was to try to jump up in the air and maintain verticality.
Wisconsin up by plenty. Van Vliet still had another opportunity to finish. He's 3 for 9 from the floor today. Free throw rims in and out. Subscribe now, BTN Plus, and gain access to hundreds of non-televised games, including men's basketball, with passes starting at $9.95 per month. See your school in action and never miss a moment of the excitement. Get BTN Plus, available on BTN to go. Upcoming schedule, of course, on BTN to go as Andy Van Vliet heads to the bench for Wisconsin.
Some great team nicknames of visitors there. You know, the North Texas Mean Green, the St. Peter's Peacocks, the Niagara Purple Eagle.
It's going to be good.
That's all I got for you. What do you want from me?
A team that's not getting a lot of pub, but probably should within the conference, Iowa.
They're my sleeper. They're my sleeper, and as we take a look at, this was my first team all-conference preseason. Miles Bridges, well documented. Bryant McIntosh, you may not find a more important player to his team in the country than what he does for Northwestern. Ethan Happ, his resume speaks for itself. Nate Mason, a first-team all-conference performer a year ago. And all Vincent Edwards does is get better year after year and produce. Those are some guys to keep an eye on, not just throughout the course of the rest of the non-conference season, but once conference play approaches at the beginning of December.
Edwards very efficient with the way that he plays the game for the Boilermakers. And we started talking a little bit about Iowa. I mean, they're bringing everybody back.
9 players average double-digit minutes that are back on that roster this year. You had 2 members of the all-freshman team a year ago in the conference in Jordan Bohannon and Tyler Cook. Cordell Pemsley, you want to talk about toughness. He played with 2 groin injuries. And there's no such thing as a minor groin injury. I don't care what anybody says. He's back. You have a couple of Luka Garza is a nice big player that they can put into that frontline rotation. You have some outstanding offensive players. Yes, you lose the conference's leading scorer from a year ago in Peter Jock, but there are a lot of pieces to like in Iowa City.
Graham McCaffrey's son on the roster as well. Dual sport athlete, baseball and basketball. Wisconsin in charge. Ball movement by Yale. There's Oni, short on his shot. Reynolds kept it alive. I'm telling you, Blake Reynolds has had a fantastic game today. Once Ivy League play starts, he is going to be a beast.
Yeah, he shot 37% from behind the arc last year, but he's been really active. He started here in the second half, Jeff. If you remember, he had 3 straight possessions where he did 3 positive things, all of a different variety for Yale.
Got 11 points tonight on the road against Wisconsin. Battled against Ethan Happ. Iverson gives it up. There's Illikainen, who knocks down a 3.
How about the unselfish play by Iverson? He's coming, he has a career high. He knows that he's drawing the double team, and he throws it right into the shooting pocket of Illikainen where he can complete. Nice job by Iverson.
He's the 10th player to score for Great Guard is Illikainen. Beg your pardon, Iverson ends up with the radio broadcaster Matt LePay.
He's doing a little housekeeping.
Putting back the notes, the programs. Everybody's All-American.
He gets a merit badge for that, too. Nice job by Iverson.
Classy and a heck of a basketball player. There you see Matt LePay. Ended up in his lap. He's pulling a triple header this weekend. He's the voice of the football team, too. Shot by Reynolds. Blake Reynolds now, 14 points. He's only missed 1 shot. Got 18 points in their opener at Creighton. Illikainen getting some time, scoring his first points of the season.
Good job by Reynolds there defensively of beating Illikainen to a spot, and then Reynolds draws the charge.
Reynolds has got to be the player of the game for Yale today. James Jones goes back and looks at the tape. Blake Reynolds has been terrific all afternoon in this second half.
And because of the foul trouble, he hasn't been able to get any kind of appreciable rest. And you can tell right now, he's running on fumes. On the offensive end, he was outstanding. And here he does a really good job of reading the ball handler's eyes, and Pritzl sliding over and taking the contact outside of the restricted area.
Pritzl picks up his 4th personally, joins Davison on the bench with 4. Copeland going around the corner, trying to feed Reynolds, and out of bounds, going to the Badgers. You can tell, though, that this Yale team, they're down a couple of pieces. But when all of those pieces fit together, this is going to be a tough team to play against. You can understand why a team like UConn didn't want to schedule them.
Well, and when they get into Ivy League play, games like this, games versus Creighton, games against Vermont, a very good team out of the America East. They play at TCU, they play Georgia Tech. That's when games like that will pay dividends once conference play comes, because they're going to be battle tested.
Dietrich Trice knocks down the jumper. He's got 9 points. 1 away from double figures. There's Reynolds, short. And here comes Illikainen. Davison back on the floor with those 4 fouls.